welcome to Zee Commodity Capsule. Let's start with Brent crude prices, which have surged by more than 5% on Monday morning and currently trading above $95 a barrel. This comes after Friday's session where we saw Brent crude prices dropping by more than 9% after Iran declared that it would open the Strait of Hormuz finally. But we saw these losses getting reversed from the previous trading session as geopolitical tensions flared again once more in the Middle East. Rally followed remarks from President Donald Trump that the US Navy fired on and seized an Iranian flag cargo vessel in the Gulf of Oman after it ignored orders to stop while exiting Hormuz. Tehran targeted ships and reasserted control over the Strait of Hormuz, arguing that US blockade on Iran-linked vessels violated the ceasefire agreement. Uncertainty has resurfaced even as Trump said that US negotiators would head to Pakistan on Monday for another round of talks. Copper prices, meanwhile, along with other metals, have also cooled off slightly from their multi-month highs. On Friday, we saw copper prices closing near 2.5-month high, but they have taken a slight dip on Monday morning as investors weighed a fragile ceasefire between United States and Iran, which is set to expire on 22nd of April. And the future of peace talks now between the two countries is hanging by a very thin thread. Copper on LME nudged lower to $13,300 a ton after pulling briefly into the green. Meanwhile, we have seen copper stocks in warehouses monitored by Shanghai Futures Exchange continue to fall, declining by nearly 9.5–10% on a week-on-week basis to less than 2.5 lakh tons, while it has declined nearly 45% since March 13th. Yangshan Copper, which happens to be the gauge of copper imports in China, remains strong. The premium held at $68 a ton on Friday despite falling from $74 a ton on April 14. Gold prices shed more than 1% on Monday as the dollar firmed, while uncertainty over US-Iran peace talks pushed oil prices higher and revived the inflation fears. US gold futures for June contract fell below $4,800 an ounce, while we saw dollar index strengthening and trading above 98 mark. Silver prices, meanwhile, dropped nearly 2.5% on Monday morning, hovering close to $79 an ounce, trimming gains from the previous trading session as renewed hostilities in the Strait of Hormuz drove the oil prices higher, intensifying the inflation concerns. White metal remains down by about 15% since the beginning of this war. Meanwhile, Commerce Bank on Friday said it expects the price of silver to reach $90 an ounce by the end of this year. Last but not the least, sugar prices. On US exchange, we saw it trading around 13.5 cents a pound, which happens to be its lowest level since mid-February. Sugar prices are largely reflecting the expectations of abundant global supplies, particularly due to higher output in Brazil, India and Thailand.